That's a good start. Show me your financials. When we do training, we do capacity building training at DBN. We have spoken to countless MSMEs, micro businesses specifically. They say it's not the bank's money, it's other depositors' funds that they're on lending, taking risks out on people. The bank's job, sure, the commercial bank and microfinance bank, the merchant bank job is to create these risks assets. That's their job. But ultimately, why would I take a risk on you if you don't know the difference between revenue and profit? That's the starting point. Financial knowledge is key.
And that's why shows like this exist. Because I also understand that gap. It's a very serious gap.
It's a serious gap.
I said it last week that your business money is different from your personal money.
Absolutely.
If you're a business owner, what your business makes is different from your personal bills of reps concerning the securitization of the ways and means of 23.7,
sure,
but about 23 trillion now.
Okay.
What would you say about that? Of course, what an average Nigerian understands is that our debt has increased. The last public debt, at least 46 trillion from, is it 46 or 44, from the debt management office. What does all this mean?
But and how to repay it. Subsection 2 tells us the timelines to repay those loans, if you will, those advances to the federal government. You see, if every central bank and every government goes to the central bank through ways and means and gets money, they will have no need to go through National Assembly to approve federal budgets and so on. The real work is being able to tax, generate the revenues, then spend judiciously across the 36 states plus the federal government. That's the FCT. However, the Act, CBN Act 2007 as amended, guides us how this fund needs to be repaid. The loans that need to be advanced should not exceed 5% of previous year's revenue and should be repaid before the financial year of the federal government ends. So that in itself tells me everything I need to know about the securitization. Because in the end, for me, it tells me that if we are pushing the needle, or moving the needle rather, and not following what the law stipulates, or the Act stipulates, then we have to strengthen the CBN Act to ensure that these types of transactions don't occur in the future, because we cannot borrow and spend our way to prosperity. That's not sustainable.
Is it borrow and spend or borrow and consume our way to prosperity?
Well, I will couch it as borrowing and spending. Because
what are we spending on?
Good question now. So a lot of funds has gone to infrastructure development, quote unquote. If you hear the federal government speak on what they have done in terms of infrastructure development, and you can see across the country in different nooks and crannies, there's a lot of work being done in terms of roads and bridges and so on. So I would say the federal government has done a laudable job in terms of spending on infrastructure. But that is long-term expenditure, not short-term, because those investments you're seeing will not really be appreciated in this administration. It's for the future administration. That's why government and governance is a continuum. So my expectation is we will get and reap the benefits of these factor endowments in the future. That's my hope, at least. But what's important for me is this. When you look at the spend for this federal government, have we seen it being inclusive enough where all aspects of the country is feeling the federal government's presence, whether it's the South-South, Northwest, Northeast, Southeast, and so on? Can they say are feeling the development? That the jury's not back on that yet. But I suspect that because we know these long-term investment projects would only be felt in the future, that's why it's a long-term investment. The next administration, this income administration, will have to continue to deepen their investments and ensure it's more inclusive. And inclusive could mean a lot of things to a lot of people, but if MSMEs are left out, we've missed the point.
What will it take for us to shore our revenues? Because Nigeria's revenues are among the lowest globally. What will it take for us to shore our revenues? And don't talk to me about tax. Do you understand? Because I can imagine that taxes will be, okay, we've got to, I don't want to say, is it increase taxes or we'll go to widen
Tax base.
The tax base.
You don't want to hear that.
I don't want to hear that.
Nancy, come on. So,
can we hear something innovative, especially for people like you that are economists and all of that, looking at all of this? Are there other things we can do to show up our revenues?
What I find to be interesting is that we have so many policies, laws, rules guiding our day-to-day activities. And yet, we still have a difficult task reaping the benefits of these carefully crafted policies. For example now, MSMEs complain about double taxation and so on. They complain about all kinds of issues in their respective industry and ecosystem. Yet, we have rules guiding those. I'll say another thing regarding taxes. The federal government is supposed to ensure that taxes are collected and administered accordingly. If we don't widen the tax base, because the tax base is shallow, if you only increase the tax rates, you may not really get enough, simply because the tax rate has gone up, but you're still taxing the same amount of people. Nothing has changed, only by that percentage. Is that enough to push the needle for government spend and their plans? Is it ambitious enough? So I would say, first of all, yes, tax rate needs to go up a bit. I agree, because Nigeria is